All right, it's Tuesday and it's Jasiri o'clock. Today we're holding two conversations that in very different ways speak to how Nigeria is seen, both from within and beyond our borders. First, as promised yesterday, we take a moment to reflect on how News Central marked Valentine's Day, celebrating love, connection, teamwork, and the humans behind the company. And then we turn to a far more sobering development on the international stage. A proposed bill before the United States House of Representatives is seeking increased oversight and possible sanctions over alleged religious freedom abuses in Nigeria. This is a move that has sparked a myriad of conversations and debates across borders. It pushes for concerns, and there's also pushback here at home. So from moments of connection to moments of contention, today's Jasiri asks, how do we tell our own stories? And how are others telling their stories for us? And then what happens when perception, policy, and power collide? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Jasiri.
Up first on the agenda. Don't worry, up first on the agenda, we have to go to many places. Anyway, Saturday was Valentine's Day, and while we weren't here to celebrate with you, we gave you guys a love-filled show on Friday with our amazing guest, and that is Joe and Gift Egenti. I was awing and owing where I was. I wasn't here, but I was watching on YouTube, honestly. I had to go to it, but it was inevitable. But I was following my sisters on the table, and I was enjoying the show, you know, from where I was. I was even writing, I'm missing, yes. But our show wasn't the only great thing that happened on that day, Friday. So let me tell you what happened. We're going to be showing you News Central's Valentine events for staff. I'm so annoyed, jealous, and everything that can happen. But I'd like you to take a look so you will really share, you know, in my feelings and my emotions. So, dash it. I saw you. Please, let's go. Valentine package.
Everybody is entitled to 100 points. Vocal performance is 30 points. Stage presence and confidence is 20 points. Don't sing for yourself, sing to everybody, engage the audience. Entertainment value is 20 points. Song interpretation is 15 points. Don't close your eyes and sing. Let's see emotion. Creativity and effort is 15 points. So you have vocal performance 30, stage presence and confidence 20, entertainment value 20, song interpretation 15, creativity and effort 15, 100 points in total. The person with the highest level of points will win the money. Now, let us begin what we have come here to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Bernard!
It's the
Coming in third place with a score of 232. Please, a round of applause for Udoka. He was tight. Because the next person who came in second place scored 233. And please, a round of applause for the leader of our fearless reporting.
I didn't sing that. Which one is Tolu?
No, where were we?
Exactly. Where were we?
Don't count us among that.
I think you were not even in town.
No, but you were away. Baba Gadiaba, Aruna, Inshallah. Therefore, don't say difference there for karaoke. And then that's a rolling dollar.
So that wasn't the only thing that happened. That was really fun. But we also had like secret admirer notes. So people were able to go to HR during the week and drop anonymous. I'm calling your name on Jasiri.
She got the highest number.
I think so. She got the highest. There's something about your smile when you walk in the room. Is infectious. I was asking who's Bolale.
She's a producer.
Then there's another one that after they did all the clinical, you have the body of a goddess.
Yes.
You see how everybody jump.
Have you seen my body?
From take 3, yes.
Yeah, someone said that they always that the room changes or their whatever changes whenever they see her in the office and when she's on air.
We don't know who.
Entertainment.
And the thing is, I love the anonymity of it, and a lot of them were very respectful and everything. It was fun as well, but it was.
And then you can speak your mind because it's anonymous. Nobody knows who said that message.
And I just love the fact that it brings people together. Do you know how wonderful it is to watch everybody coming together from different departments,
We did not
coming
expect
together.
as much people. We
But we didn't expect them to be as involved.
David came and told me, the driver that drives in the evening bell, he said, Mommy, I enjoy
Everybody
There was a lot to eat.
We had cake, we took pictures, there were drinks, small chops. No, it was.
Because sometimes you have to just remove yourself from.
And it was a Friday, so it just really everybody, that helped them start their weekend as well.
I'm coming for you.
That shit. So you know what? When they announced Ben, he started running back to his office. I'm like, is he shy? Is he not going to be the game? He went to wear glasses. When you see Ben come out.
Ben's swag is
and then this madam here that came out for rap.
You know the funny thing, I actually wanted to sing Papa Ute.
So what happened?
Chiwete said, no, sing something that people know.
Why did you follow
Papa Ute is very popular.
It's popular.
That's how you talk yourself out of money. Because there were cash prizes. We did cash prizes.
Stay true.
We're going to mix it up next time. I already told them next time we're going to tell people to come in groups. Let's see dual performance. Let's make a difference every time we do something. Yeah.
Are we going to have to wait till next year Valentine and be December? Jesus.
We'll send the memo to
staff bonding. Honestly, a lot of offices, sometimes I would look at, you know, the culture of an office. And I would say that if your office thrives on love and togetherness, you will see that overall, the performance will be better. People will feel happier at their workplaces, because most people, you see that they are burnt out in the offices. They don't even enjoy coming. If I'm not on Jasiri, just know that it was something I could not help. So it has nothing to do with I don't want to come. I've come to work when I'm sick. And I enjoy being on the show. If I'm not,
and then
I was in the burial, and I was like this in the church. Watching Jasiri.
So I don't miss
That was a fun day.
Oh my God, we're going to another story.
A bill before the U.S. Congress is proposing sanctions over alleged religious freedom violations in Nigeria, citing killings, kidnappings, and government inaction. But Nigerian groups say that the bill oversimplifies a complex crisis and unfairly labels Nigeria. So when we return, News Central Senior International Correspondent Afua Hagan and Professor Simeon, Nnah, Public Affairs Analyst, will join us to break down what the bill says, why it is controversial, and what is at stake for Nigeria. Stay with us.
Right before we get into our conversation, as we know, for the past several days, there have been demonstrations at the National Assembly in Nigeria's capital in Abuja. And once again, demonstrators are gathering pace at the National Assembly, where they're demanding that lawmakers adopt the House of Representatives version of the Electoral Act Amendment, especially the provision that mandates real-time transmission of election results. Now, the protesters, who turned out in large numbers, insist that they will not back down until their demands are met. We're joined now by correspondent Joshua Maraye, who is on ground right there with the protest. You can see him, and he's going to take us through the situation there. Joshua, just quickly brief us. What's the situation where you are right now? What's the update? Are we counting this in days? Because I know the protest did start last week, so we're looking at probably, I think, around the 3rd or the 4th day of Nigerians saying that the National Assembly, particularly the Senate, needs to make sure that there is mandatory real-time electronic transmission of results. Take us through what's going on.
Well, good afternoon to you. The protest, the wheels of this demonstration is in full motion. As you can see behind me, individuals in their numbers are gathered. Now, this protest did not start today, neither did it start yesterday. Well, this protest has been on for weeks now, and as you can see, they have come in here demanding that the National Assembly adopts the House of Reps version of the electoral reforms. Now, what is happening here currently is that these demonstrators have been going in circles around the entrance of the National Assembly. This is particularly the front of the National Assembly, and as you can see, most of them are gathered here, and they've been taking a stroll around, chanting that their vote must count. We'll try and speak to some of the individuals we are seeing here on what they think with regards to the protest and why they think that this thing can come to fruition. Good afternoon, ma. Look at the camera. The camera is over there. Yeah. I understand that you are part of the people making the demands here. What are your own demands?
No, Obabia should pass the bill, help women. We are suffering, so we need free and fair election. What bill do you think that you are protesting here for? For the women. Come forward so the camera can capture you. Over there is the camera and it's trying to capture you. Okay. So what are you here for? You as a person, let us know your name. We are here to have our own seat. That is, we need more politicians. You know, they usually said, especially women, if a woman wants to come out as like, let's say, chairman or so, they will all say she's a prostitute or she's a jugalo. So we need our own seat for ourselves, we women, because without woman, there is no nation. Thank you very much. Yes, well, Tolu, it seems that the demonstration has gone beyond the demand for the adoption of real-time transmission of results. What you heard that lady say was that special seats for women is their demand, and they are pushing for this demand that the National Assembly should ensure that women are given this seat for them to be represented adequately. Over to you, Tolu.
Okay, thank you so much, Joshua. It seems, I have one quick question, security, because I know, I think, was it Friday, that there was tear gas used to disperse those who had come out to make this demand. Can you just tell us about the security situation? What is the security situation there? Are you seeing the Nigeria Police Force? Is it the army? What does it look like? Does it look like a safe protest for Nigerians?
Well, currently the security situation is packed. Over there, you can see officers of the National Security and Civil Defense Corps standing by there. But the security arrangement seems to have doused down, particularly because we've not seen any occurrence of security operatives maybe encountering or perhaps exchanging words with some of the demonstrators. But what we are seeing is that there are a couple of individuals here who do not really know what is happening here today. You heard from that lady whose aim here is different from the adoption of the real-time transmission of results. But what we know is that the security here, the one we can see is that of the National Assembly, who are stationed at the entrance of the National Assembly, and a little bit of a pocket of individuals, particularly the civil defense, who are standing by over there. Beyond that, no extra security arrangements, and the demonstration is going on a full scale.
All right, Joshua, thank you so much. We'll check in with you again in terms of the conversation, the situation there. So what you are seeing, or the visuals that were on your screen, were the demonstrators, yes, who have come out to demand Electoral Act amendment and telling the National Assembly that it must mandate real-time electronic transfer of results as Nigeria heads towards elections. But yes, there's also a conversation about the Special Seats for Women bill, and that was tabled last year. It was expected that there would have been some kind of movement and votes on it before the National Assembly went on recess, but there was nothing. There was silence. That's a bill that we've spoken about extensively here on Jasiri, and it has now come back into the national consciousness as there is an expectation that it will be debated and also voted on. So we'll keep you up to date with what's happening in Abuja. But now, let's get to our conversation because our guest is standing by. Nigeria finds itself under renewed international scrutiny, this time from the United States House of Representatives, where lawmakers are considering a bill that proposes tougher oversight and possible sanctions over alleged religious freedom abuses in the country. The Nigeria Religious Freedom and Accountability Bill 2026 paints a troubling picture of a targeted religious persecution, widespread violence, and a government accused of failing to protect vulnerable communities. Its sponsors argue that urgent action is needed to hold perpetrators accountable and compel meaningful reforms. But here at home, the response has been swift and divided. Critics say the bill oversimplifies Nigeria's complex security challenges, blurring the lines between terrorism, criminality, ethnic conflict, and religious identity. Others warn that such legislation risks reinforcing dangerous narratives, damaging Nigeria's global image, and imposing external judgments that fail to reflect the realities on the ground.
So let's ask today, is Nigeria being fairly assessed? Does this bill genuinely advance religious freedom, or does it risk doing more harm than good? And what would sanctions, oversight, or diplomatic pressure actually mean for Nigerians? This is not just a foreign policy debate, it's a conversation about sovereignty, accountability, and whose story gets told about Nigeria on the world stage. So let's begin. Joining us now, our new Central Senior International Correspondent, Afua Hagan, and Professor Simeon, Nnah, Public Affairs Analyst. Afua, Professor Nnah, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Who has the first question?
I'm blessed.
Yes. You're blessed, and then you speak French. So Catherine wants to mobilize you into her corner. We noticed that. It's all right. I will speak this French by force.
Thank you very much for joining us, Afua. It's always a pleasure to see you. Let's just go straight into this particular bill we're discussing. The proposed legislation seeks increased U.S. oversight of religious freedom conditions in Nigeria, and that includes reporting requirements and potential punitive actions. But what exactly does this bill claim, and why now? Maybe we should start with Afua. Let's start with you. What is the core objective of this proposed U.S. House bill? We need to know it.
Well, yeah, at its heart. So we're talking about the Nigeria Religious Freedom and Accountability Act of 2026. That's its official title. Now, this is designed to force sustained U.S. government scrutiny of Nigeria through mandatory reporting, benchmarks and escalation options. And this is tied specifically to religious freedom and alleged faith-targeted violence. So this bill's mechanism, so to speak, is less about sending troops into the country, which was the threat sort of a few weeks ago that President Trump had been threatening to put boots on the ground in Nigeria. And it's more about institutionalizing oversight, institutionalizing America or North America, the United States of America, having some sort of oversight, some sort of big brother looking into Nigeria. So it's going to compel the US Secretary of State to submit a detailed annual report to Congress on, first of all, what the United States is doing, and second of all, what Nigeria is doing to protect religious freedom, to persecute the perpetrators of those who concern on religious freedom, and to protect vulnerable communities. So in other words, Congress wants an accountability pipeline from Nigeria so it can easily justify sanctions, assistance conditions, and designations if it later believes that Nigeria is failing under the standards that it has imposed.
Okay, Afua, I'll pick up with, from there with Professor Nnah, because it seems a number of things have been leading up to this situation we find ourselves in. We had the social media post from U.S. President Donald Trump and Marco Rubio, who's the U.S. Secretary of State. There was the fact-finding mission by one of the sponsors of the bill who came to Nigeria to fact-find. Then you also had, of course, the targeted Christmas Day bombings, and now a small contingent of U.S. soldiers have arrived in Nigeria. So it's not that the bill came out of nowhere. We're seeing all the steps they've laid out in front of us. But I think my big question is, what is the motivation? Why do you think the focus is on Nigeria right now?
Well, there are several reasons why the focus will be on Nigeria. First of all, the killings in Nigeria has been one too many. And if you know what Trump stands for, he stands for the Christians. Anywhere he discovers that the Christians are being maltreated or being killed, like they are snuffing off life in Nigeria, he steps in to do one thing or the other. Recall that he did that in Israel. America was playing politics with moving the capital of Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. But in his first term, he just did it in a jiffy, moved it to Israel. So that's the kind of stuff he's made of. Now, fast forward to Nigeria. We've had incidences of, people being massacred, not killed, per se, being massacred, and we're playing politics with it. We've had issues of even UAE sending names of people that are causing some of these problems. They swept it under the carpet. Nobody said anything about it. Names were given. Bureau de changes that they used to transfer money were listed, and nobody said a jack about it. So I think America came at a time that they are highly needed, before all of us are being killed, because they are now moving down south. They have gotten to North Central, Kwara and Kogi. The Benue has been there all along. Plateau has been there. Recall too that during the time of Obasanjo, that he declared the state of emergency in Plateau as a result of killings, and that was Christian killings. And there was a reprisal attack in Kano. Okay. Yes, one could argue that Kwankwaso was not the governor in Kano then, but he was the person that came to introduce the Sharia law in Kano. See, I don't understand what we believe in this country. That document, that fraud of a document you call a constitution, I call it a fraud because of the opening comment. We, the people of Nigeria, we know how constitutions are being made. Who sent anybody to the Constituent Assembly to draw a constitution for us? 2, 3 people stayed in a room and wrote up a document and said, we, the people of Nigeria. Who are the we? That's fraud as far as I'm concerned. Now, if you look at that document, there are so many lacunas. Now, the document said that Nigeria is a secular state. Now, let's take it from the face value. What's a secular state? You are allowed to practice any type of religion you want.
Freely.
Freely. And if you look at that document, that's why I say it's a fraud. Muslim, mosque, whatever, was mentioned several times in that constitution. Christians, Christ, or church was not mentioned even once. So what kind of document is that? Who drew that document? And they brought it and called it a constitution. As far as I'm concerned, we don't have a constitution yet. I've argued in several places. They said, no, every constitution you amend and continue to amend every American constitution, they are still amending. No, but this one, there are so many lacunas, and that's why these politicians are latching on. And that's what they want to do again with this, their so-called Electoral Act. We are citizens of this country. We were here in 2023. We knew what the court said. Yes, INEC had it in their law, but still, the court said that whatever they have cannot overshadow the law of the country.
Okay, Prof, let's put a pin on that for a moment. Afua, let me come to you for a split sec. You've heard what the Professor Nnah is saying, and you've been following these developments for, very closely over the past several months. Okay, let's take a short break. We'll be right back. All right, so you're watching Jasiri, and before I want to say something, man. No, so we have our guest in the studio. Afua is with us. She joins us via Zoom. She's in the UK, and then we have Professor Nnah in the studio as well. So Afua, I'm sure you listened to what Professor Nnah had to say about the Constitution and the characteristics and the developments surrounding the constitutions and what stems from the constitutions. And you have been following this over the past several months. You've been following this quite closely. Can I ask you, in your opinion, why does it seem like Nigeria is being singled out internationally at this moment?
Three main drivers coming from Washington that are singling out Nigeria particularly at this moment. I think the first thing is Washington's religious freedom machinery has been reactivated and is honing in on Nigeria. Now, Nigeria was designated as a country of particular concern under the US International Religious Freedom Framework at the end of last year. And that designation means that it's created a clear path for Congress to create this legislation, to have this spotlight on Nigeria and to make sure it abides by its standards. I think the second thing is US domestic policy and where it is at the moment. Senior Republicans are really trying to tie this bill to President Donald Trump's posture and pressure from constituencies that view Nigeria through the lens of Christian persecution. And that really ties back to his posture about Christian nationalist values. The bill says that it follows a direct attention and direction from the White House with this congressional fact-finding push and that fact-finding mission that Tolu mentioned earlier on. I think the third thing is you had Nigerians hired a lobbying group, spent $9 million on a lobbying group. It was DC lobbyists called the DCI group to counter the narrative and to try and keep the US support steady. Now, that became a really symbolic trigger to Congress. And lawmakers and people in public policy really criticized the idea of Nigeria spending millions on a lobbying group rather than improving protections for its citizens. So I think these three things are really the drivers that have meant that Washington now have their eye on Nigeria, so to speak, and then framing it around their Christian nationalist values. I think there's also a security layer here. It's about the US deepening quote-unquote cooperation, whatever their version of cooperation is. But there's also the question of if Washington are apparently, allegedly, supporting Nigeria's security services, what are they supporting them in? What are they enabling? And of course, the bigger question is, where's the accountability?
Let's come to you, Professor Nnah. Let's look at the objections, against the proposed bill, because some quarters have actually said that it collapses years of complex security challenges into a single narrative of religious persecution without adequately accounting for banditry, terrorism, ethnic tensions, land disputes, and state capacity failures. Now, where do you stand on the issues that have led us, where we are here? Because this stems from allegations of a Christian genocide in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Do you believe that is the case?
Well, there's no gainsaying the fact that there's Christian genocide. You can argue from now to tomorrow that the Muslims are being killed. Yes, no doubt, the Muslims are being killed too. But I've asked this question a number of times and I've not gotten any answer. Tell me how many Muslim clerics that have been killed, and I will show you an ocean in the desert. You see, the problem is that we are being sentimental here. She just said that I recall that we hired a lobbyist in the U.S. to lobby that there are no Christian genocide. You see, when it was mentioned, they started arguing that what they paid was 4.5 million. But they have forgotten that that contract is for 1 year, and the 4.5 is for 6 months. So they eventually are going to pay the 9 million. So that's by the way. Now, you have seen what the lobbyist is doing. He rerouted the wife of the president to attend a prayer meeting in the U.S.
National Prayer Breakfast,
where he will now talk to Trump, and Trump at the end of the day recognized her. I know Trump does not know her. So they went to lobby Trump to recognize her as a Christian married to a Muslim president. That's where we are.
He also mentioned that she was a pastor in one of the largest
churches. Yes, a pastor in one of the largest churches in Nigeria. So what are they trying to achieve? They're trying to sweep everything under the carpet. Please, you see, when 500 people are killed in one night, what do you call that? Is that not genocide? Look at what happened in Kwara the other day. They called people out for prayers, and they thought they were coming out for prayers, and they murdered all of them. See, if you read through what the legislators are saying in the U.S., they are not saying they are coming to kill Muslims. No, they are saying they are coming to take out those extremists that are trying to, because even among the Muslims say there are extremists. Yeah. That, like what happened in Kwara, it was the extremists that came to Kwara to kill some other Muslims. So at the end of the day, you still have good Muslims, but you still have very bad ones. See, when they said they picked up Kwankwaso, I laughed. You know why I laughed? Because people don't understand, or they mentioned, not picked up, sorry. Yes. They mentioned his name. Now, people don't understand that in strategy, there are elements of surprise. If you see the first attack they did, they went to Sokoto where nobody expected. And they think they don't know what they are doing. They know what they are doing. They know, a lot of people didn't know that the Nakrowas were storing their ammunition in Sokoto. So they went there to snuff things out. So when they take some of these actions, they are trying to tell you that they understand the security details more than you.
So hold that thought, because Afua, that's actually the next question I had, because it feels like you are sitting in the U.S. deciding what is going on in Nigeria, because critics are arguing that the bill paints an incomplete and damaging picture. It's conflating terrorism, banditry, and criminality with religious persecution. So do you really think that the U.S. House of Representatives can adequately understand or even label the situation in Nigeria from where they sit in Washington, D.C.?
No, they can't. They absolutely don't. Because by labeling it as, a Christian genocide, it's very easy for them to link that to their domestic policy and then to put things in place so that the standards in Nigeria meet their domestic policy. But the thing is, the framing of religious persecution is difficult because, yes, there is mass atrocities, absolutely, but it's multi-casual, as in there's lots of different people who are being killed. There's a jihadist insurgency in the northeast, there's banditry and mass kidnapping in the northwest, there's militia violence in the Middle Belt. I don't need to tell you that, but perhaps we need to tell Washington that, because you have to have there's all these differences that need to be brought up in intelligence briefings, for instance, that need to, you need to talk to NGOs who have the testimonies and church networks and conflict reporters. They'll be able to tell you that it's a very wide lens of what is going on within Nigeria. And by labeling as just one thing, it's disingenuous because it doesn't get to the root of the problem, a problem that is multi-layered. Yeah. And that's the thing that Washington doesn't understand, but I think crucially doesn't want to understand because it doesn't fit in with their rhetoric and it doesn't fit in with their aims.
Oh, very
interesting.
So many things are just interlocked. Professor Nnah, this bill actually does name names, and that could face, U.S. restrictions, freezing of the U.S.-linked assets, and restrictions of financial dealings under the U.S. jurisdiction. People like the former Kano State Governor, I beg your pardon, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, the Miyetti Allah Kautal Hor, and Fulani Ethnic Armed Group. They described a lot of them in that bill as nomadic militias. Yeah. So what do you make of this? Because these are targeted. These people are targeted.
How do you even identify? How do you identify the leader of a quote-unquote Fulani armed ethnic armed group? How do you identify the leader? How do you identify them to be able to even apply these sanctions?
The truth is that they are not hidden. Most of them are known. Most of them even come to talk to us. And even the ones in the bush, their leaders are known.
Anyway, they're on TikTok these days.
Yes, it's only that we are trying to pretend that we don't know them. You see, one of the things that resonates with me was that these people are causing a lot of harm in this country, and they must be rooted out. I was discussing with a friend yesterday in the United States. He said, why Kwankwaso? I said, well, I don't know, because he was not the person that started Sharia law in Nigeria.
He wasn't.
It was the former Zamfara governor. I think it was about the second or the third. But again, if you look at it deeply, we have had more Christian killings in Kano, maybe, than Zamfara. And again, I was of the thinking, because people were still asking, what of Gumi? And when they mentioned Gumi, Sheikh Gumi, I said, well, maybe the thinking of America. They believe that you don't mention Satan when you are talking of sinners, because his own case is settled. So that's why I think, in my own thinking, that's why they left him. Because if America and Trump is the kind of Trump I know, he will not leave that man without
being part of those,
without bringing him to book. It's not the kind of book we bring people in Nigeria, because we've been bringing people to book since 1999, and there's no book where they are brought. We sweep the things under the carpet and we say we bring them to book. And that's the way, if they want to release somebody. Anyway, they have told us, although he's changing today, because I'm seeing him today wearing a new toga. I'm talking of the former APC chairman, who is now a senator. Because in those days, he said, if you are a sinner, if you come over to APC, you become a saint. And Senator Sani said, if the APC wants to treat somebody who is not a member of their party, they use insecticides. If they want to treat people in their party, they use deodorants. Now, these narratives are there because the way we handle things in Nigeria
is with gloves.
It's very, very ridiculous. We play politics with everything. Even things that are not supposed to play politics with, you play politics with them. Now, I think we have two laws in this country, one for the South and one for the North. And that there's no country that operates that way, and you expect that country to survive or succeed. There are a lot of things that these rulers Because I keep on saying the challenge of Nigeria is that we've not had leaders, we have had rulers. Anytime we begin to have leaders, and you see, I was looking at Nigeria from 1960 to date. Have you noticed that we have had unwilling presidents? It's only this one that said it's his turn, but he spoiled it by saying you grab it, you run with it. So all of us have been unwilling presidents. They were being eroded to take the position. I can trace the trajectory from 1960 to date.
I want you to hold on. We have to take a quick break, and time is not with us because this is a conversation that doesn't stop. Afua, we'll talk social media posts and how Nigeria is handling this narrative on the outside, and then see if we can just sneak in one or two more questions. Let's take a quick time out. Jasiri is wrapping up on the other side of this break. Stay with us. Lolo is into this conversation just as we are, because it is one of not just national interest but also international interest as well. Afua, I want to quickly come back to you, because when we look at the social media posts, we look at the bombings, we look at the fact-finding mission up to now, the proposed bill, and even, of course, remembering this multi-million-dollar lobbying deal that Nigeria signed with a U.S.-based lobby company. And I think a lot of Nigerians don't understand the concept of lobbying. One day we'll break that down as well. Do you think the Nigerian government is doing enough to counter these narratives that are being set about security, insecurity, safety, religious freedoms in the country? Professor made a point about the recognition of the First Lady at the National Prayer Breakfast. My tenor went up when I saw that, you know, so I think a lot of people had the same response. But are we doing enough to counter the narratives that are being set about Nigeria, regardless of, not regardless, but putting aside how we're handling things internally? Are we doing enough to counter the narrative?
I don't think so. I think absolutely more could be done, whether that is in social media, whether that's more officially, to put across the real story of what's happening in Nigeria. We talked earlier on about this in the show, where we talked about the different reasons why there is violence across the Northwest, the Northeast, the Middle Belt. There's different elements to it. It's not just the genocide of Christians. There's much more to it and much more that's happening. And I don't think, in fact, the Nigerian government are doing enough to make sure that the world knows that this is not just a single story. You know, we have the danger of this single story, and we have the United States, you know, trying to be a world superpower, trying to be Big Brother, and telling the world what Nigeria's problem is, instead of Nigeria telling the world what its problem is. Yes, she did have the money spent on the lobbying, like we talked about, $9 million. However that went, I don't think it did enough. Nigeria has also publicly rejected the CPC designation, calling it faulty, saying that it was come about by misleading data, that it's not accurate. US lawmakers have criticized that and said that this is denialism on behalf of the Nigerian government. But actually, like I said, this is a problem of the danger of a single story. It's about Nigeria telling the world what is really going on inside Nigeria and not letting the United States do that.
So let me take a quick comment on WhatsApp before we ask our final question. Dr. Nnah from Abuja says the presence of U.S. in Nigeria will checkmate the wanton killings in Nigeria, especially the killings of Christians, which leads to the last question we're going to ask.
Prof, before we wrap up the show quickly, as succinctly as you can put it, many are worried that Nigeria as a country, we're losing our sovereignty. So now, in this situation, Prof, is this an issue of sovereignty, losing our sovereignty? Is it an issue of protecting the citizens, or it's one and the same thing, or it's just a melange of everything?
You see, losing sovereignty, when some people talk about that, I ask what sovereignty? Because this country, for so long, have marginalized a lot of people, that you are even afraid to live in their own country. So what sovereignty are we talking about here? Now, yes, in the international community, you can be talking of a nation, you know, asking his own questions and answering them. But we have not been able to answer our questions. So we need external help. We need countries like America to come in and help exterminate these marauders. You see, because we have not done anything about them. And we keep on, each time it happens, we're on top of the game. On top of which game? Which game are you on top of? We will bring them to book. Which book are you bringing them to? Look at the number of people, when this thing started in Benue, look at the number of people that were being killed in Benue when Otom was the governor. Yeah. And they kept on telling us we're on top of the game. On top of which game?
And from time immemorial.
I think America's coming in to assist us. Today, we had, maybe during the weekend, that about 200 soldiers have arrived. The 2 aircrafts have come in. So I think this will send jitteries to some of them, because knowing fully well that America is not Nigeria, they will not do what they...
He's coming back. We're not done yet.
Because his debate around this proposed bill in the United States House of Representatives forces Nigeria and the international community to confront uncomfortable but necessary questions. How do we define accountability in a country that is grappling with layered crisis? Who gets to frame Nigeria's story on the global stage? And can external pressure truly deliver justice and protection for vulnerable communities, or does it risk simplifying a reality that demands nuance, local insight, and sustained engagement? Questions upon questions. There will be a part 2 of this conversation, but for now, for today, this is Jasiri.
I will just give you one sad breaking news that has just come in now. Reverend Jasiri Jackson has passed away. U.S. icon, civil rights icon, 2-time presidential candidate, passed away at the age of 84. We'll have details for you in our subsequent programs and bulletins. We'll see you tomorrow.